This emotional story is about Jonah, a struggling street kid with a tired heart. He discovers a baby abandoned behind a wealthy family's home. In his attempt to save the child, Jonah is accused of something terrible, setting off a chain of events that tie his life to the baby's powerful billionaire father, Mr. Harrison. The sun had barely climbed over the rooftops of Seattle that morning, yet the city already felt heavy, as if the heat and the noise and the weight of everyone's rushing could crush a boy like Jonah without even noticing. Walls stained with years of rain and rust leaned in toward each other, making the narrow path feel like a tunnel. Garbage cans rattled in the distance. And Jonah, a barefoot kid with a sack almost larger than his entire body, dragged his life behind him one piece of scrap at a time. He didn't walk fast. His legs were too tired for that. His brown t-shirt clung to his thin frame, soaked with sweat, and the knees of his pants were torn so bad the fabric fluttered with every step. Dirt coated his ankles. His hair stuck to his forehead. And his stomach hadn't stopped hurting since last night. Hunger had become something like a shadow. It lived with him. Followed him. Talked to him louder than people ever did. But Jonah? He didn't complain. Complaining changed nothing. Nobody listened anyway. He had only turned 9 a few weeks ago, but birthdays meant nothing when you didn't have anyone to celebrate with. His world was made of recyclables, coin jars, and long days of rejection from people who acted like the sidewalk belonged only to them. Get away from here. You're blocking my shop. Don't touch that. I said don't touch. Voices like these had shaped Jonah's story long before this day. He had learned how to survive without expecting kindness from anyone. People looked at him, but no one really saw him. He was a blur in their perfect morning. Still, he kept walking, dragging the sack behind him, hoping today he might find enough to earn a meal. Maybe half a meal. Maybe a crust of bread. Anything. And then, something happened. A sound sliced through the air, sharp, high-pitched, panicked. Not just a cry. Not just a baby whining. It was a scream that sounded like fear, like desperation, like someone far too small had been left far too alone. Jonah stopped so fast his sack fell over. His eyes squinted. Brows tightened. His breath caught somewhere in his chest. Another cry broke out, louder, shaking, terrified. A baby. A baby in this alley. It didn't make sense. Kids weren't left in places like this. Not by families who had homes, or cars, or anything more than Jonah had. And definitely not families who had enough to dress their children in clean clothes. But the crying didn't stop. Jonah followed the sound, stepping around old crates and concrete blocks until he found the source. And when he saw it, his heart nearly stopped. A baby, barely 1 year old, sat on the dirty ground behind a concrete wall, his cheeks flushed red from crying, his beige clothes smeared with dust, his little hands shaking as he reached for someone who wasn't there. Jonah froze. His throat tightened. This wasn't just any baby. The bracelet on the boy's tiny wrist gleamed faintly under the sun, a gold bracelet. Real gold. Heavy. Engraved. LH. Jonah whispered, "No way, that's Mr. Harrison's kid." Everyone knew the Harrison family in Seattle. Wealth, business, influence, people whispered their name like it carried weight. Mr. Harrison was the kind of man the news loved, powerful, sharp, always surrounded by guards. He wasn't the kind of man who misplaced anything, let alone his child. But here the baby was. Alone. Crying. Terrified. And now looking straight at Jonah. The baby's arms stretched out toward him, trembling as he begged, not with words, but with pure instinct, for someone to pick him up. Jonah stepped back instantly. "No, no, no, don't do that," he muttered, panic rising. "I can't touch you. If someone sees me holding you, they'll think I took you. They'll hurt me. Please don't reach for me." But babies don't understand fear. Babies don't understand how the world divides people. Babies only understand who feels safe. And right now, that was Jonah. The little boy let out another wail so sharp it echoed between the walls. Jonah closed his eyes. He knew what would happen if someone found him standing here. He knew how fast people assumed the worst. A barefoot street kid next to a millionaire's baby? No one would ask questions. No one would give him a chance to explain. But he also knew what it felt like to cry and have no one come. He couldn't walk away. Slowly, terrified, Jonah knelt down. His hand shook as he reached out and touched the baby's arm. The moment he did, the baby pressed into him, clinging to his dirty shirt as if he'd found safety in the one place no one else ever seemed to look. "I got you," Jonah whispered. "Okay? I won't leave you." His voice cracked. He looked around. No guards. No nanny. No stroller. No car. Just silence. Someone had messed up. Badly. He needed to calm the baby down and figure out what to do next. His eyes darted around until he spotted an old wheelbarrow with dents and rust, but still usable. He dragged it closer, wiped out the inside until his palms were raw, and gently lifted the baby in. "You're heavier than you look," he muttered softly. Liam blinked away tears, and suddenly smiled. A big, innocent, sunshine-filled smile. Then he clapped. Then he giggled. Then he kicked his feet like the world had just become beautiful again. Jonah stared at him, stunned. "You, like this thing?" he asked. The baby squealed happily. Jonah's lips curled into a smile he hadn't felt in years. Not forced. Not polite. A real smile. Something warm moved in his chest, like he mattered for once. "All right then," he whispered. "Hang on." He grabbed the handles of the wheelbarrow and started pushing it gently. The baby laughed louder. Jonah pushed faster. Dust rose behind them as the wheel squeaked and rattled. Liam threw his head back, clapping his hands like Jonah had given him the greatest ride of his life. Jonah laughed too. A real, bright laugh that felt strange on his tongue because he hadn't heard it in so long. For a moment, he wasn't a street kid. He wasn't tired. He wasn't hungry. He wasn't invisible. For a moment, he was someone who brought joy. But the world never lets moments like that stay quiet for long. Voices erupted at the far end of the alley. "Check here. He has to be close. Search every corner." And then one voice hit harder than the rest, deep, furious, shaking with fear. "Liam. My son. Find my son." Jonah's blood turned to ice. "Mr. Harrison." He was coming. His footsteps thundered closer, guards sweeping through the area like a storm. Jonah's heart pounded, his hands shaking on the wheelbarrow handles. If they found him with Liam. He didn't want to imagine what could happen. He pushed the wheelbarrow toward a broken wall, trying to shield it, but it was too late. A guard turned and saw movement. "HUI," he shouted. "Over there." Jonah froze. The guard rushed toward him, boots slamming the ground. Jonah stepped in front of the wheelbarrow as if his small body could somehow protect the baby behind him. "What did you do to him?" the guard yelled, seizing Jonah's arm. "Nothing." Jonah cried. He was alone. I swear he was crying and I. The guard shoved him to the ground. His elbow scraped open. Blood smeared onto the dirt. Liam whimpered, sensing danger. "Don't make him cry," Jonah begged, rising to his knees. "Please, he laughs with me. Don't scare him. Please." The guard raised his hand to hit him. But a voice, sharp enough to split the air, cut him off. "Stop." Everything froze. Jonah looked up and saw the man he had only ever seen from a distance, a man people treated like royalty. Mr. Harrison. But he didn't look like the polished millionaire from TV. He looked like a father whose worst nightmare had come alive. His expensive shirt was wrinkled. His hair messy. His breath uneven. He saw the wheelbarrow. Then the baby. Then the boy kneeling in front of him. Liam looked at his father, and didn't reach for him. Instead, he reached for Jonah. Silence hit the alley like a wave. Mr. Harrison's eyes narrowed as he studied Jonah, his bruised arms, his bleeding elbow, his trembling hands. Not guilt. Fear. "What did you do to my son?" His voice was low, dangerous. Jonah swallowed hard. He was crying. I found him alone. I just wanted him to stop being scared, sir. That's all. A guard snapped, he was trying to steal. No, Jonah whispered. I wasn't. Mr. Harrison lifted Liam from the wheelbarrow. The baby looked at him, then twisted away, crying again, reaching for Jonah. Jonah's chest tightened painfully. The baby wanted him. Mr. Harrison stared at Jonah longer this time, something shifting in his expression, confusion, disbelief, and maybe something else. Your name? He asked. Jonah, he whispered. You live here? I live wherever people don't chase me away.